don't forget your 5 C's. Hello everyone, we're back in this topic and this season or series we can say where we do don't forget your 5 blanks. We can do don't forget your 5 R's, don't forget your 5 B's, and today I chose the letter C. Now today or don't forget your 5 C's are Christ, consistency, confidence, consideration, and clarity. We're gonna start up with our first one, Christ. I feel like it's kind of like already known that you should like follow that God should be a priority of yours. Because when you start to follow Christ, then He comes like a priority. You should love it with your mind, strength, everything else. Sorry, if you hear my dog, she's in the background. In our journey with Christ, we can struggle to. Oh wait, I'm so sorry. If you hear music, then that's my neighbors. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize if you guys heard that. I didn't realize if you heard that, so I will be talking a little louder just in case. Back to the video. When we start to follow Jesus, we start to want Him more in our life, and we start to gain a relationship with Him. And sometimes a relationship can go really far and be really good, or sometimes our relationship can fall, and we can start to sin more. And we all want to have a good relationship with Jesus. We don't want to be in our downfall, and then a bunch of bad things are happening to us. No, right? We want to have a good life. No. So Christ, I want you to don't forget. When you say don't forget your 5 C's, I want you to think more about Jesus and first like Christ. Think about why you started following Him. Think about what He did for you, and think about how much He loves you and how many blessings, opportunities, and forgiveness He has given you. Because when we start to think about these things, we start to like, dang, like He did this for me, or that one time I was checking trouble, like He did this for me, or God just blessed me with this. I remember I really wanted that, and He gave it to me. We start to think, it can get like so well. We start to feel better, and we start to want actual relationship. And sometimes it's hard because sin can cover us. We're like, you don't need Jesus, don't follow Him, listen to me. We can be with laziness, slothfulness, and a bunch of more other stuff. So I want you to restart, not a restart or refresh, but like reconsider it. I'm like, why I started this, why I did this, why. So like I said yesterday, many of these words will go along. So like if you have one of them, you have the other word. For example, yesterday the letter was P, and I was like, patience goes with prayer, and then positivity goes with potential, all this stuff. So this will be like exactly like in this video. So I want you to think, when you think of it, don't forget your C's. I want you to think of firstly, you prioritize Christ, and I want you, for the challenge, I want you to try to remember everything really that has gone in your relationship with Christ, and try to see better, because we all try to be better at some point. Right? No one wants to stay stuck being bad. Like if you play a sport or you really like drawing, you always try to get better and better because we want it to look. We all want to get better, right? For number 2, we have consistency. Doing a lot of is a synonym of consistency. Consistency can be found in your relationship with Christ or in life in general. With doing things goodly or badly, it has like both sides to it. Because due to like, it can go with you doing a lot of consistent bad stuff or consistent good stuff? I'll be right back. Back to where I was, where consistency can be from good to bad. Now, I'm pretty sure we all want to do consistently good things and not be consistently sinning a lot and everything. So this is why I want you to be constant on what you do. I want you to be constant thinking about Christ. Because Christ connects with consistency. You have to consistently read your Bible. Well, no one's really forcing you to read your Bible, but you should, because when you read your Bible, you're spending time with God. And that's what happens in a relationship, you spend time with God. So we all want to try to be consistent and being better. So I would some suggestions on being more consistent. You can be more consistent of reading your Bible, being positive, consistently praying, but consistently just talking to God, like, oh, look at those trees, they're so pretty. Or I always wondered if the majority of people like pineapple on pizza. Or is there anyone out there with the name of Joelle? Because the more you talk with Jesus, the more you will understand him, and the more your relationship will get better. Because I want you to really be consistent and really find consistency important. Because when you start to be consistent in good things, it makes you a good person. It makes Jesus know a good person. Because when you make it known that you obey God and that like he's your father and that you obey Jesus Christ, then people will be like, dang, she's a really good person, maybe I might start following Jesus. You never know what others might think. So we must consistency give a good reputation of ourselves, not just that, but also of God. And sometimes even when we are consistent of doing good things, people might admire us, or people might say like, hey, and they might tell us something great, and that's really good. But now remember, we're not trying to be consistency just for like people could be like, oh wow, like she's really doing nice things. She helped a granny cross the street the other day. No, we're not really trying to do that. We're just trying to be nice with nothing. Like we're not getting paid for it. Because we're trying to treat others the way you're trying to be treated. If you're trying to be treated with a bunch of good acts from others, then you should do good acts to others. So that's why I want you to be more consistent on what you do. For example, I try to be more consistent on posting videos. This is why I make this little series of don't forget your 5 C's, or don't forget your 5 R's, 5 B's, 5 P's. So this is why I say don't forget your 5 C's. Always try to be consistent on what you do, especially in a positive. And like I said, consistency can be bad and can be considered in bad terms too. And when you're consistently doing bad, or you're just sinning really much, then I encourage you to try to, because consistency, like I said, is both good and bad. So I want you to be more consistent. When you're doing bad, I want you to be like, you know what, consistency is also a good word. I can also be good, and also try to encourage yourself upward, because no one likes to be down here. Like I said before, I'm always here to support anyone with their journey with Christ. I'm not like a therapist or anything. I love helping others and supporting them. But also remember, Jesus is our Father. You can always talk to him. I keep doing this sin. I'm Lord. I don't know where to stop. Just take it on. Take it on from there. So that's really much what I have to say for consistency. Number 3 is confidence. How much I love this word. This is another word I really love. Confidence. What is the definition of confidence? Confidence, I don't really know what the definition is, but I know it means like being proud of yourself, like not worrying, right? And I'm pretty sure no one likes to go in public and be like, oh, I'm so scared, like, what are they gonna say about me? And this happens many times when we start to think about what others will say of us. We start to think about what others will say of us. which, like I said, can happen to us many times because I feel like it's natural for people to think about what others will say because they might have been hurt before, or they might just feel insecure about themselves, or they might just like feel like something that they're not worth. And I feel like if you have confidence, then you pretty much are gonna be successful in life. And I really encourage you all to be confident, to rock, and to not hesitate. Now, sure, when you're confident, some bad things could happen because, for example, let's say I'll offer you $5 if you like follow the fire alarm, and you might be thinking like, I'm confident, yeah, like now that, and of course that's not like the best example of confidence and badness or not being hesitant, but it's like so much goodness that can come, and confidence is key, is what I mostly say. Confidence is key, and once again, confidence is key. Once you learn how to be confident, you learn how to express yourself more without hesitating. You learn how to. Oh, what are you at? Sorry, my dog was running me out. Like I said, confidence is key. So it's like, I would really say that you always try to be confident. Always try to just be yourself. Because when you're trying to be yourself and not really care what other people say, you tend to be confident. Confident is not really caring what people say. And I know it's hard to not really care about what others' perspective is due to that. We've heard people talk behind their backs, or broken a friendship, or done something like, or we've been through something like that. So we tend to like worry about what others, or something like bullying can be another one. But I feel like God gave us this life, and why would you want to live in all fear about what people are gonna say about you? People always have something to say. Either it's good, either it's bad. That's my perspective of it. So I really like, don't forget your 5 C's. I really try to encourage you to be confident. Never forget that you are your person. No one can be you better than you. Cause like if someone would put in my body, they will not know how to act like me because they have their own traits and I have my own traits. I will never know how to act like you because I don't know how you act like. So be confident in yourself because no one knows how to act like you, but you don't know how to act like anyone. So why should you act like anyone or try to fit in and be someone where you don't know how to be someone else, yet someone else doesn't know how to be like you? And I know many times it's easy to say, but it tends to be harder when you start to think about it. But if let's say you're cooking, right? You're cooking and you're paying all your attention to cooking. But before you were cooking, someone talks about you and they're like, I think people are talking behind my back. You told someone that. But then you start cooking and you put all your attention to cooking because someone's asking you the recipes and everything. You're like, oh yeah, you put some soy sauce, then you mash up the spaghetti, you do this and that. And you focus on cooking, that you're not really focused, that you told the person that's asking you for the recipe that you think people are talking behind your back. Many times people are focused in their own selves and their own struggles and how to be better as themselves. Or they just tend to focus on something else. For example, like they're trying to focus on their chore, or try to get everything done, try to be better. Because everyone wants to be better. And many times we're busy in life. We try to be better, we try to get everything done. And this and that. If you're so busy, if you yourself are so busy, imagine others. Imagine how much other times people are going to think about you. I'm sure they might be like, oh yeah. They might tell like a story on like what you did today or what your relationship with them was. Like, oh yeah, me and her, we go really far back and like this. Or like, I just think she's weird. But that's it. If people are so busy on working on themselves, why would they talk about you? And if they're talking about you, then that just means that they aren't doing so good on working on themselves, because that means that they're not busy, and they're not trying their best. So they're talking about others because they're not busy and they're not trying. Literally, if you actually think about it. I know this is all confusing and everything, but I'm being for real. Like, if you're trying to be better and this and that, and you try to focus on yourself, then why are you gonna be talking about others, right? Because you're busy, right? We're trying to be a better you. But if someone is talking about others, then they're probably not giving their best or working on themselves and like busy. And they're literally not busy. And when you're not busy, that means literally you're either doing something bad or you're not doing things well. But generally, I would just say that. But don't forget to be confident. I'm so sorry, my mouth's watering. Don't forget to be confident with yourself. No one can be better than you because they don't know how to be you. Everyone's living their own life. Everyone has their own struggles. Just be confident on who you are. Now, I've taken a lot of time on this video talking about confidence, but we still have more to go. For number 4, we have consideration. Consideration can, like, once again be good or bad. But we're going to talk about the positive side. Consideration, I would really want you to consider things with more time. I know sometimes we're busy, or sometimes we're just doing certain stuff, or sometimes we're just focused on other stuff that we're not considering what someone's offering us or what we could do better. Because there are people in this life that the only thing they do is complain. And they never consider about what someone is telling them and saying if it's actually good for them. Now, like I said, there is a bad part, and the bad part is where someone's talking trash about you, and then you start considering it, and you start thinking, like, am I actually worth nothing? Have all my efforts gone to nothing? Will I ever get that change? Like, no, you do not want to consider that. If, like I said, consideration goes with confidence, because if someone's talking about others, then they're probably not even doing well themselves. So why should you even consider the bad, negative stuff that they're talking about you? But this also can go to a bad part where consideration, people talk good about you, but you're like, no, like, that's not me. Like, people are just like, you also need to consider that you're actually a good person, and that when people talk good about you, you actually need to consider these stuff. Like, once again, an example. Last year I was horrible. It was horrible at my basketball team. And people were like, oh, you played good, And I was like, no, I'm gonna suffer it. I didn't, because I knew I sucked. But at the same time, I had to understand that sometimes maybe I didn't get the ball, but I still played good for my teammates. I would go help them so they could dribble pass and shoot the ball, or help them so they could get open to shoot the ball. I still had to consider that I was good, but I was just considering that they were just lying to me, which was not true. And sometimes we hate ourselves because no one really knows how we're feeling. So when someone tells us something positive, sometimes we consider it with not being true. But we also have to consider it, which is the positive considerate that is true. So consideration, like badness, will be and considerate and. So N will stand for negativity, and then consideration B will be for positivity. And that's pretty much what I have to say. Consider. I want you to consider things and considerate things just taking your time. I know many times when I rush, like, oh my gosh, I've said this a lot, but yeah, consider things in a good way. Consider it like maybe you have offerings, people are offering you stuff, and you're just like, I'll think about it, but you don't think about it. Maybe this consideration can actually lead you to something better than you don't really know. And I want you to consider others. Know how they're feeling. Try to consider them and make them feel like no one wants to be left out. So try to make them considered and make them feel good about themselves. I don't know if that really makes sense, but yeah. So consideration. Please try to consider it be instead of consider it N. Because consider it N is just no, no, no. And if you don't have if you have consider N, then you'll never be confident. If you consider it only the bad, then you'll never be able to confident. And I know confidence is something we can struggle with. So this is why I need you to not forget the 5 C's, which can be considerate P, which is consideration of positivity. Also, like when you're going through bad times, you might have considerate N, where like, oh, I might consider quitting the team because I just don't really like the practice overall. Like, that's not really negative. Just because you didn't like it doesn't mean you're not getting better at something you love. I want you to be considerate B. Let's say your coach yelled at you. You're considering. You need to consider. Hold on. A person would consider it and will be like, coach is yelling at me, it's gonna be like, oh, you're doing bad, you got locked in, I didn't put you in for that. Consider it and be like, I'm really just a failure, like, why should I even try? I'm gonna scream at him, I'm gonna call him the B word, like, oh my gosh, like if he only knew what I'm kind of going. Consider it. Now, consider it B, my take it. Coach is yelling at them, and then I'm like, dang, I didn't really play good. And my mind is on something else. It's my fault. I didn't pay attention. But maybe coach is yelling at me because he knows that I need to lock in some. And he knows I can play better than this. And he wants me to play better because he knows I have a lot of potential in me. I'm gonna really try. You see the difference? You see the difference? You see the difference? Like that. To me, there's a big difference. But always consider it P, which is positivity. Always be considerate with a positive impact instead of a negative impact. Clarity. Clarity is number 5. Clarity. Clarity is really important. Now I'm thinking, what is clarity? I don't really know what clarity means, but I'm gonna put it in my words where clarity is making something like known or like being clear about something. For example, like there's a difference between saying, oh, you want to go to the park on Saturday? Okay, let's go. I'll bring it. Compared to, hey, do you want to go to the park on Saturday? What time should we go out? 4 p.m. Which park are we gonna go? Let's go to Sacramento City Park at 4 o'clock. So that's not good. You see how different it is just to let's go to the park on Saturday, and then actually saying the address and what time. You can always be clearer on things, and there's a lot where you can be clearer at. For example, when we speak, I know some of us aren't clear. For example, me, sometimes I still stutter, sometimes I repeat myself, and my clarity isn't the best because I'm not being that clear with what I'm saying. So that's something definitely I can work on, being more clear things. I mean, for number 5, you can just say clarity or clean. Try to be more cleaner with things. I'm gonna say cleaner because clarity is number 4. Clean, try to be more clean with things. Yes, I feel like what most of us struggle through is us being clear to others, or us being clear that we represent Christ, because some of us, we say, oh yeah, I believe in Jesus, thank you Lord for this day, and then we go to school and then we're all like bit, or we're saying the N-word, we're spitting out words, and we're saying it like this, and we don't act like what we claim to be. We claim to be Christian. We claim to be Christian, and then we're not making that clear because we're giving a bad example, because and most of the time it's because we're hanging out with people that aren't good. So then when we hang out with people that aren't good, we just become bad, and we're not being clear, and we're not representing God, because we want to represent God in us. And if people are like, I thought she was a Christian, and then look how she's acting. Is that what a Christian is? No, a Christian is not a person that cusses and lies and does this and that. We want to give a clear figure to others so they can truly understand this. Like gender, we don't want to be like, is that a girl or a boy? Like, I used to struggle with this because I have in my opinion, I have a manly face, and then when I used to get my braids done, people, I look like a man a lot, and I did not like that. I just really liked my braids. So you don't want to be a clear figure, either with your verbal talking, with how you are, what you claim to be, with your appearance. Definitely try to be more clear. Now, I know it says don't forget your 5 C's, but I do have a bonus one / a 6th one, because I feel like this is also important to say. I would say that so I kind of forgot the word, because when I was reading them, I was like, wait, that was such a good word, I'm gonna do a little bonus. But what I'll do instead is when I'm done with the series, I'll do a part 2, for example. So I feel like if there was some like words for R, for example, I could have put respect. But I didn't put that. So and don't forget your 5 R's. So what I'll do is that I'll put don't forget your 5 C's part 2, where I also talk about other words that start with the letter C, but that are also important. So just forget about the whole thing. I'm so sorry. But definitely, what I will say lastly for cleanness, don't forget that also how your relationship with God can be clean, instead of you like sinning and being like, actually I'm gonna be lazy, I'm not gonna read my Bible today. But then you're like, I worship God, and then you're saying all this stuff. I know it's hard because we see it and we tend to be different, but always try to make your relationship clear. I'm going on a good path, I'm not doing so well. Because the worst part is mixed signals, like this and that, everything. So don't forget 5 C's. We have Christ, consistency, confidence, consideration, and clarity / cleanliness. In my perspective, they both mean the same thing. Thank you so much for watching. I know this video is long, but it is really important. And before I end, I can show you guys the person that bothers me. It's right there.